And they came to Philip, who was from Bethsaida in Galilee, and they said to him, "Sir, we would see Jesus." So Philip went and spoke with Andrew, and Andrew and Philip went and told Jesus. And Jesus answered them, "The hour has come for the Son of Man to be glorified. Truly, truly, I say to you, unless a grain of wheat falls into the earth and dies, it remains alone. But if it dies, it bears much fruit. Those who love their life shall lose it, and those who hate their life in this world will keep it for eternal life. Whoever serves me must follow me, and where I am, there will my servant be also. Whoever serves me, the Father will honor. Now my soul is troubled, and what should I say? Father, save me from this hour? Notice for this reason that I have come to this hour. Father, glorify your name." And a voice came from heaven, "I have glorified it, and I will glorify it again." And the crowd standing there heard it and said that it was thunder. Others said, "An angel has spoken to him." Jesus said, "This voice has come for your sake, not for mine. Now is the judgment of this world. Now the ruler of this world will be driven out. And I, when I am lifted up from the earth, will draw all people to myself." And he said this to indicate the sort of death that he would die. The Gospel of the Lord. This is one of those Gospel stories that is simultaneously extremely beautiful, but also makes you go, huh? What are you trying to say there, really? You have this story, and as the story goes, there are these Greeks, and what that casually meant, at least in the New Testament, you were either a Jew or a Roman or a Greek. So if you weren't Jewish or Roman, you were Greek, which meant you kind of came from this sort of eastern side of the Mediterranean Sea, and there were Jewish people scattered through this whole area, basically from Rome east down around to Alexandria, Egypt. And there were people who listened to these Jewish diasporites and were attracted to their understanding of God. And so there was obviously a collection of Greek-speaking people who had come up to the festival that is being spoken of is the Passover. They come up to Jerusalem to celebrate at least the best they can the Jewish festival of Passover. And what has happened immediately before this story is that not only do we have the raising of Lazarus, and anybody who's listening to this story, who is listening in church, kind of follow along the story. I mean, you had the raising of Lazarus, and then you had the telling of the story that we know of as Palm Sunday, and here we are essentially in the last week of Jesus' life, in the last moments of his public ministry. And now there is this group of Greeks, these Greek speakers who have come forward. And anybody who's been paying attention to this story, remember that at one point along the line, Jesus said that there was going to be this time when there were other sheep who were not part of his flock who were going to come to him. These other sheep. And anybody just kind of paying attention, like, there they are. There's other sheep. And they come along, and they find Philip. And maybe then, people argue, why did they find Philip? Well, because he had the only Greek-sounding name among them. Maybe he's the only one who spoke Greek. Find Philip, they say. It's just beautiful. Sir, we would see Jesus. Right? You can imagine where they've been. Maybe they were there. Maybe they saw his entrance in Jerusalem. Maybe they heard the stories that have been circling around about this teacher from Nazareth. Maybe they heard about his feeding of the 5,000. Maybe they heard the wondrous things he done. Maybe they heard the miracle stories. Maybe they heard that he healed people. This is a guy worth seeing. So we would see Jesus. Kind of like, we're over hills, we're driving around, by the house. Maybe we can get to see him. So they find him. And what do you think Jesus would say? What would you say? Like, you don't find these guys, like these strangers. Come on, they want to see you, man. They want to see you. Because they heard about you. They want to see you. And what do you think you'd say to a group of people like that? Well, if you're Jesus, you're going to say, well, that's really cool. Now I get to die. And you're like, huh? Are you kidding me? Because that's what he says. He says, now it's come to pass. Everything I talked about has now come to pass at this moment. Now I'm ready to die. Well, boy, that's a really great how do you do, don't you think? This sense that this group of people, they don't get what they're expecting. Can you imagine coming up to this guy who you've heard a lot about, who you've heard feeds the multitudes, heals the sick, raises the dead, and you come up and say, hey, I'm from Athens. And he goes, cool, now I'm ready to die. That's it. But here's the thing. Not only does he say that, he essentially says to them, and now you should get ready to die too. That's what he says to them. Because you see, they're probably not unlike us. Everybody in this room has come and talked to God because they wanted something. Right? It's okay to admit that. All of us in this room at one time or another came to God because we wanted something. Right? We wanted to be healed of our sickness. We wanted a better job. We wanted our kids to behave themselves. We wanted our spouses to love us better. We wanted our neighbors to behave themselves. Right? We wanted the world to be better. We wanted peace on earth. Whatever it is. And all of us have ended up in this place because there was something we wanted. Right? Something we hoped that God would give to us if we came and we behaved ourselves and we said our prayer and we put our buck in the offering plate. And God would give us something. Just as I'm sure those Greek guys came thinking that if they came, maybe they would see something. People have been doing that with Jesus for his whole ministry. Show me something. Heal me. Feed me. Do a wonder for me, Jesus. And what he says is that if all you want is about you, you are like a seed in the palm of a hand. If the only thing you can think about is yourself, you are the seed. But if we take your seed and stick you in the ground and cover you with dirt and bury you, you notice the imagery is not discreet. If we bury your life, phenomenal things will happen. Phenomenal things. And for most of us, that's not what we want to hear. I mean, can you imagine being these Greek guys? Can you imagine being anybody sitting there hearing this kind of stuff? Are you kidding me? I didn't come to get stuck in the ground. I came to get my problem fixed. I came to get what I wanted. And Jesus is saying to them and through them to us. That's not how the story goes. That to the degree to which any of us are willing to be buried in the ground, it's the degree to which we're going to find really what he's about. To the degree to which we're willing to let go of what we came for, what we wanted, what we thought we needed, will be the degree to which all of a sudden we find this life coming up out of us. Jesus' promise is clear that if we invest our lives in the world, things begin to happen. Unpredictable things. It's this grain, this stalk of wheat that comes up, and all of a sudden it's bigger than it ever was before. It's more than it was when it was in your hand. And he says it's the same for his life too. That his life gives it away, become more than anybody anticipated it ever could be. And that coming up is the beginning sign of what we call resurrection. The resurrection isn't this thing at some point in the future. The resurrection is this implanting of everybody's life into something deep and dark. Things that none of us were looking for, and letting it grow up into something more. There is this sense in Jesus when he's speaking to these people, and through them to us, that our lives are significantly more than what we thought they were. That the reason Jesus asks us to give them up is because he sees inside of us more than we see inside of ourselves. We see what we need. We see what we want. He sees what we could be. What we could be. That if we're willing to let go of all of that stuff that we hang on to, if we're willing to open ourselves up and let go and let our lives be invested in his world, in his story, in his life and death, how much more we will become. That's the great mystery that lingers in this story, isn't it? That we come looking for our things. And Jesus says to us that it's about so much more. That what you are can become so much more. That everything that you thought was in your way in your life can die away. And in its dying, you become so much more. You see that great? I just wanted my spouse to like me better. I just wanted my sickness to be healed. And I just wanted my neighbors to behave themselves. And it is as if Jesus is saying in these stories, and I can do more than that. As we travel through our week, as we travel through the life that lies in front of us this week, may God send his Spirit upon us that we would have the courage to be buried in his earth, to allow our lives to be about more than ourselves, that we would be his seed, and that from our lives would become these remarkable, God-given